Shalom everyone, Shalom Alechem, peace be unto you. I'm Candy Zararu, and I wanted to do a video, an updated video at least, of just like talking about like why I head cover and maybe diving just a little bit deeper than I normally do. This is not going to be some sort of teaching or like exhaustive technical teaching on Hebrew words. I don't have like the time to sit here and record a 6-hour video on all of the Hebrew words like nekev, nekeva, ish, isha, and like, man, woman, male, female, all of these things. Please, please, please do your due diligence and look those things up for yourself and study all of these concepts out for yourself. I'm just going to talk about why I veil, what led me to certain beliefs about veiling, etc. And I'm going to leave it all to you to do the dirty work and, kind of the grunt work of, going and researching the Hebrew words and looking up all of those things. So, to begin, I've been covering since 2013. I think October 2013 is like the first time I put a scarf on and like went to a coffee shop. So that's about five years. Yeah, so about 5 years. I did start covering after I was married, but that's not because I got married. It was just the way the Lord chose to work and like show me the truth. And I originally began to cover based on just 1 Corinthians 11, and that was just like my only basis for it. And of course I saw, like Rebecca, grabbed a veil and Tamar veiled, and Song of Solomon talks about veiling. But I was Southern Baptist then, and so one of the bigger things is like headship and submission, which gets translated into like husbands have basic complete dominion and authority in the home, and women need to be quiet and just follow along with whatever the husband wants, and that is how you are a good wife and go to heaven, basically. And so I kind of like read all of that into the passage without ever looking at the Hebrew, without ever looking at the Greek, without ever considering any of like the original languages and then a concrete meaning. And so that's how I began to veil. And as I did more study over these 5 years, I've kind of moved away from veiling for that reason. Of course, it's a reason per se, but not in the sense that I think everyone who has an English Bible kind of reads it and takes it. So I am going to use 2 resources today, just the Bible, this is the Scriptures version, and Guardian Angel. I just think these are like 2 really good resources. So this is a book by Skip Moen. These concepts found in this book are like not like anything super secret or like anything he made up. He comes at it from a very traditional, a more traditional anyway, Hebraic, like Jewish view. So I will say that. And so the reason why I veil today, like right now, has to do with what I say often as far as like, I say it more so when I'm talking about modesty, but it's just in general. For me, it's about privacy, and then to dig a layer deeper, it's about, I believe that women in our females, by our sex, so like humans who have vaginas, because I feel like I have to say that today to like really get down to like what I'm saying. So humans who have vaginas who carry 2 X chromosomes. I'm just going to say it like that because I don't want to get into like a gender discussion and all of that. So by sex, females with 2 X chromosomes were created. So Chava, Eve, was created as a boundary setter. So before then, she was an Ezer Kenegdo. So look that up. Look up what those words mean. And I will give you the literal translation is a help opposite. So Chava was created as a help opposite to Adam, to man, to the males. And the male's role in all of this in the beginning was to remember what God said and to do it. And he searched and looked for a help opposite and did not find one that was like legit for him. So God took the rib out from his side, denoting that they are equal, and created female. When he created female as an ezer kenegdo, a help opposite of him. So she is helpful when they are striving toward the goal that God has set forth, and she opposes him when he is not and when they are not. That is her role. That is why we women, they say like, oh, you nag. It's like, we're not just trying to nag, we're actually trying to help by opposing you when you're wrong. Like, it's actually built in. So go dig into that concept, but that's what I believe. And so within that, female, nekeva is female. There's a root word, nekev, Nekev. So you guys can look that up in like English and go down that trail. So what that denotes, it's kind of like a homophone. So if you know anything about Hebrew and translating that to English, you're never going to get like a direct translation. So like it's like if I say, oh man, it's raining cats and dogs, and someone wants to go translate that in Amharic, in an Ethiopian language, hopefully they don't go translate literally exactly what I'm saying, it's raining cats and dogs, if they know those people are never going to actually look up what that phrase means. It means like it's raining really hard, it's raining a lot. So then a translator would typically interpret and say it's raining cats and dogs, it's raining a lot. The issue we have in modern day is that we have people who are not native Hebrew speakers, don't really study Hebrew outside of like from a Western viewpoint, and so they interpret things in a very Western, kind of American, but like just Western and Greek-minded way. They don't translate things the way like someone who knew Hebrew and grew up in the land, especially in ancient times, would have translated it. And so that kind of becomes problematic when we are forming doctrines based on English translations. So anyway, it's nekev is like a homophone. It means like, I think I marked it in here, but it's got to do with piercing, to pierce, to make a hole, and it also can mean to single out and appoint as leader. The homophone suggests that it means a boundary setter, the designed setting for human dynamics. So this word points us to the complementary roles of the female, appointed to a high office revealing her identity, a conduit for all subsequent name-giving identity, and the one who maintains the boundaries. So, a part of being female, and from that, most likely a woman, is we are here to set the boundary and maintain the boundary. And when we get into talking about an ezer kenegdo and an isha, these words, it actually forms this picture of someone like encircling something, maintaining the boundary, and opposing whatever is going to come against whatever goal is set forth. If that means a woman has to oppose her husband, she will do it for the truth and for the goal. And a wise man will listen to his wife and remember the truth that God said, take the initiative and carry out the task. That is what a marriage and like man, woman, male, female interaction should look like. And in our society, we have completely flipped that. We have made men subdue women, and if a man is subduing you, there is no respect, which means there's no love. And so you can't even get to like husbands love your wives in the New Testament if the man thinks his job is to subdue the woman because they're gullible and they sin. And that's unfortunately a Christian view, and it comes from the church fathers. So look that up because it's definitely there in the church fathers' writing. Some of it's pretty whack, but so that's why I cover. It's that entire view that I just laid out about privacy and boundary setting, and just showing that like we're different and we have different roles in striving to carry out the task. And then I believe that it goes into First Corinthians 11 that everyone kind of jumps into without first dealing with all of the Genesis account, Rebecca, Song of Solomon. Like, we don't really go to that. We just go right to First Corinthians 11 and think that we're going to, like, come out with some good theology. And, you know, like, we really don't. So then it gets into 1 Corinthians 11. It talks about the head of every man is Messiah. The head of woman is the man. And the head of Messiah is Elohim. And so that's been translated, of course, in this kind of hierarchical way. And I believe that is the most incorrect way to translate that and to think about that. I think it's talking about the source. The source of every man is Messiah. All things were created by him, for him, and through him. So that would be the source of the man. And then women obviously were taken from man with the rib. So the source of women is men. The source of Messiah is Elohim. He is the word of Elohim. So he was in the Father's bosom. We see that in Scripture. And he's brought forth from Yah. So again, the source of Messiah is Elohim. It's not like pitting this hierarchy somewhere. And it doesn't like go into like, and then children are somewhere under there. That doesn't even deal with the passage, but somehow we use that passage to denote this umbrella diagram. And so it also goes into, and so women should have a symbol of authority on their head. Some manuscripts would just say, so women should have authority on their heads. And so for me, I think that goes right back to this Genesis idea that as women, we have authority built into us. Men do as well. We both have authority. We both have power. But specifically, this talking about women and covering their heads. As the crown of all creation, which also has something to do with Isha and Ezer Kenegdo, these words, this all kind of goes together when you understand the Hebrew. We're the crown of all creation. We were created last. God said it was good. Our job is to set and maintain the boundary. If you think about that, there needs to be a covering on our head, a symbol of that authority on our head. And I think one is to make sure we understand who we are and our glory, and that we need to harness that power and yield it in the correct way. Therefore, you need to put a symbol of authority on your head to remember who you are and what your purpose is. I also think it goes into this, the passage says, because of the messengers. And so I think women were created as a type of mercy and grace from God to men, to husbands, to men and to husbands. That's a whole different like video. But a part of that is the angels didn't receive mercy. Scripture talks about, I want to say, my husband would know, but I want to say it's like Hebrews, where it talks about like the angels marvel. They marvel, like the messengers of God, they marvel at the mercy that we get. Why? Because when they sinned, they were done. It was like, oh, okay, well, y'all can go down there. Like, you can go. Like, they just got cast down with Hasatan. And when we sinned, there was this whole mercy of we get to, mate and be fruitful and multiply. And through the woman shall there be redemption. So the woman's seed, it didn't say the man's seed. Think about it. Women don't have seed. Whatever though, again, this is all like, you have to study this stuff out. But it says through the woman's seed, shall basically redemption come via the Mashiach, the Messiah. So it's this idea of like there's authority, there's power associated with us. We are solutions. We're boundary setters. We're boundary maintainers, which denotes a sense of privacy. And then with all of that comes, there needs to be a lot of humility in that, and there needs to be a lot of us making sure that we submit our wisdom and understanding to God. And so it's also for me a reminder of who I am, what I'm designed to do, what I'm here for, and whose I am. And so all of that is why I cover. Hopefully that wasn't too hard to follow, but for me it's all of those things, and it's got everything to do with like, we want to sum it up, it's a feminine identity, but I feel like that's so flimsy and that's so abstract. So I wanted to give you guys a more concrete understanding. Please look those words up and then like chit chat with me on Instagram or in email if you guys want to go deeper. And let me know what you guys find about that. And in that, I have a cat now, and my cat's on the light. No laser. He's so cute. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit that little bell next to the subscribe button so that you guys get all of the notifications when I upload. And I hope to see you guys on the next one, God allowing. Bye, everyone.